Hey everyone, hi, and welcome to Portfolio Review. I am your host, and I'm also the guy that gets the beat down. I take it out on you guys, all my frustration on all you aspiring artists. I'm RT Bear, and I am a 30. You know what? I was reevaluating this. I think I'm close to 35-year veteran in the comic book industry. I will do the math at some point, you guys, and I'll figure out the exact amount of time that I've been working professionally in the comic book industry. I've been working mostly for Marvel and DC, but I have done some indie work. I kind of pledged my allegiance in the early days to a fledgling company called Image, just this little indie company called Image Comics in the 90s, and I worked for Dark Horse and Valiant and a bunch of other comic companies. But, it's not all about me. We have an amazing talent here as well, and her name is Taylor Grasso.
Hi, everyone. I'll be reading your chat today, so feel free to join the conversation and ask the 35-year, I believe, vet some questions.
All right, should we do that? Okay. If I started in 82, okay,
Oh, gosh.
let's pause for
Getting out the calculator.
get some people in the chat. So let's do some math. Okay, 82. Okay, if you go 82, 92, 2002, 2012, 2016.
2018 minus 1982 is 36 years.
No. Really?
Yeah, that's what the calculator says.
Uh
36-year comic vet.
Gosh, I feel old. Well, anyways, I am going to use all that old wisdom and all my 36 years in this comic book industry, and I'm going to try to help some aspiring artists out and give them a couple tips and see if we can make this industry better. At least get some new talent in there. So, do we have people in the chat?
We do.
I'm kind of learning. I should pause a little bit and wait for people to come in before
Pathetic
I start the
Spider
show.
Boy's been here for like every chat. I'm glad that you're hanging out.
Bam, 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 bam.
Nick says RT Bear is a legend, folks.
In my own mind.
All right, we got a few people. We got more swarming in. So
Okay, they're swarming
probably a good time to start.
like bugs. Well, if you guys haven't heard, we also have an Indiegogo, and we're 3 days out now.
Yes.
Because we're past noon, right? So we're 3 days out. So Sunday night is our last night for our black and white Indiegogo. It is a remastering of my 1994 Image comic book, and we'll get into that a little bit more later because I have some artwork and a cool, what would you call it? Just a giveaway, a drawing that we're gonna do. Yeah. So we'll get into that. Anybody else in the chat? Should I begin, Taylor?
Star Tiger says you can call EVS a beginner.
Ooh, I like that.
We have a question from Spider Boy, but I'm gonna hold it.
Bum, 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 bum. Every time you say
It's a
Spider Boy.
Halloween themed question,
That's what-
sort of.
You know what? We have plans for Halloween. Gosh, we should actually. Time moves so fast. We have actually here at the T Bear household, we have a whole cemetery out front right now. We call the T Bear family plot, and the family we make our own headstones actually out of paper mache and foam and things, and they look pretty good. So I want to take some footage and show you guys the T Bear family plot.
For sure. I think people would like that.
Yeah, we big time get into Halloween here at the household. So let's go. Oh, I remember. This will help us wait
Wow, that person's really good.
too. Who is that guy?
He looks like he has experience.
Yeah, so this was sent. This was sent to me today by myself. I sent this to myself, and I did this yesterday on live stream. So I drew it. Well, I tightened up the pencils. It was sketched in. I tightened up the pencils on. It was a two-part, right?
Yeah, we did a two-part long live stream. Some of you guys were there. And in the first half, Art was penciling this, and then you got to see him ink it to completion in the second half.
Yeah, and we got to show you a little bit of Hack Shack Studios as well. It's a mess now. It usually is nicer, but I thought it would be fun. And I think Taylor and I are going to hang out there a little bit later on today as well. And I have something else to draw up for you guys, so we'll have some fun with that later. I'm really having a blast, Taylor, talking to people and stuff. This is a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure.
So, we also have a commission tier in the Black and White Indiegogo, and let us know in the chat because we do have what do you call it where you work it out in advance when you put the Indiegogos together, a tier.
The perks?
Yeah, but we had one for these type commissions, right?
Yeah, we had a hidden tier queued up that we haven't acted yet. If there's enough interest though, we'll act it. And it was for bust commissions, I believe.
Okay. So, anyways, you guys, if you want us to add maybe a bust commission or two, or a headshot like this to the Indiegogo campaign, let me know because we're not really sure how much we should put in, how much we shouldn't, and if there's a demand for it, I'd definitely like to put that in there and draw for you guys. So this is kind of an example of this is an example of a headshot. And I do have examples of my busts and full figures as well. I think we have a full figure 11 by 17 on there now. We just sold one, right?
Yeah, Denali wants to know how much a head or a bust commission would be. We'd have to get back to you that because it would be a tier that includes a book and stuff, of course.
Yeah, we haven't done the math on that yet.
But there is an 11 by 17 commission up there right now.
And that comes with the whole, with
Ultimate
everything,
tier,
right? With the
yeah.
ultimate tier. So, yeah, maybe we'll talk about putting it up later today. And then you can see, if you guys check back to the Indiegogo, you can get the prices and things. And I'm not going to be doing any commissions for the rest of this year. So the only commissions I'm going to be offering is through the Indiegogo, at least through 2018. So that's our little plug there. Let's go to the Killing Joke. So this one is called the Killing Joke. And you guys are killing me. You got to start writing your names in the file because there is a signature here, but I don't know what that is.
It's kind of neat, but I don't know what it says either.
Yeah, like if this is your artwork, please in the chat let me know who you are so we can give you credit for this because this is a nice drawing. This is a really nice drawing. It looks like he found a photo, maybe a cosplayer, or maybe this is him, and this is a take on the Killing Joke, the Brian Bolland piece of artwork for the cover of that same book. So what does this look like, Taylor? Markers?
I don't know. I thought it looks like markers now that you're close up on it. I thought it was colored pencil at first, but I'm pretty sure it's marker.
It looks like marker with maybe some acrylic paint or something over.
That part by his hairline almost looks like pencil. Maybe that's why I thought.
Yeah, it looks like it could be marker. Definitely, yeah, that line actually kind of looks pencil. Looks like pencil with marker over the pencil and then some acrylic paint over that.
Mixed media.
It is definitely mixed media. But this is nice. What do you think, Taylor? Thumb up, thumb down?
Thumb up. Let's see. Pathetic Spider says, I wish it was my artwork. He wanted to know, by the way, since we're kind of getting to the Halloween stuff, what your favorite horror movie is. And do you have one?
I used to always have the go-to like Halloween and The Omen, Exorcist, like just the classics. I like the first Dawn of the Dead. I think that's one of my. I think it's my favorite zombie film, actually. And what did you say, Amanda? Phantasms. Yeah, when I was young, Phantasms was awesome. And but it's weird because my new favorites are not really horror. Is I like that little evil, and I like Tucker and Dale. Those are kind of more takes on classic horror with a humor angle, but I like those. And I know Taylor doesn't like the Conjuring films, but those are kind of cool. How about you, Taylor? What's your
Yeah, I'm not a fan of James Wan.
Juan?
I don't know. It's really weird. I've seen a lot of horror movies and I really like them, but horror movies just as a whole are, on the whole, aren't that great. Um, I don't know. I like them. I think my favorite one, which is a really weird movie, but my favorite horror movie of all time is probably the first Halloween and a really bizarre movie called Under the Skin.
Oh,
Which
I think I saw Under Skin.
Under the Skin stars Scarlett Johansson, who's an actress I don't really like, so I feel really weird about really liking that movie.
You know what? I think I'm a big fan. Now I'm thinking about it. Is ghost stories, and for some reason I never think of ghost stories at Halloween, which is
Yeah.
weird. So I like Poltergeist, the Steven Spielberg movie, the first one, the original one, and that movie, The Others, with Nicole Kidman.
That's a good movie, actually.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And I don't know if Sixth Sense, I always think of that as a ghost story, but for some reason it doesn't get the category.
Yeah, it gets like a drama category, but it is.
Or a thriller,
Yeah.
but it really is. It's kind of, if you think about it, it is a traditional ghost story.
Yeah, it is. It just told in an interesting way. I forgot Poltergeist is up there too. That's a really good movie.
Because what's his name?
Macaulay. Oh,
no,
you're talking about
the actor, the Die Hard guy.
Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis is actually a ghost. Technically, he's haunting that kid.
Yeah, he is. That's a really good movie.
The thing is, he's kind of like he's Casper. He just wants to make friends. He doesn't know he's a ghost. He's a ghost that doesn't know he's a ghost.
Bruce Willis is Casper.
Bruce Willis, can you be my friend?
By the way,
But you're a ghost.
by the way, that live action Casper movie.
And you said Macaulay Culkin.
I did.
What is that kid's name? Joel Osment or something.
Haley Joel
Haley
Osment.
Joel Osment.
Macaulay Culkin in The Sixth Sense would have been hilarious.
That was a slow burn for me, Taylor.
He sees the ghost. He's like, ah! His face.
Oh man, you know those people that put those trailers, those fake trailers together? They should do that. Macaulay Culkin in The Sixth Sense. I see dead people. Ah.
So that's the long answer.
Yeah. And then they set up like Bruce Willis's character running, and then that old guy with the snow shovel smacks him in the head. They do it in editing.
Oh my gosh,
That'd be funny.
hilarious.
So it'd be like Home Alone, like spliced in with Sixth Sense.
That'd be a good crossover.
Ooh. we might have a new show here.
Ooh, crossovers, yeah.
Anyways, we are going off on a tangent.
Anyway, this piece of artwork's cool.
I just realized I didn't eat dinner last night.
Yeah, if you guys caught Art, he was on like 4 different shows all in a row with like no time in between them.
Oh, Taylor, you should have been on Mike S. Miller's Aloha Hour because John Malin actually just derailed it and turned it into a whole Fury Road Wasteland Weekend
Ooh,
talk. Yeah,
I could talk about that forever.
we should do another. We should revisit the Wasteland Weekend. Okay, so this looks like markers. Like Taylor said, mixed medium. This is really, really good. I don't really know what to say. I'm not a big pinup guy per se. It looks like it's based on a photograph.
Those gloves are pretty cool.
Had the folds in the gloves. I'd say the weakest link here is probably just the structure of this camera here. So I would say try to start using templates more, because these circles and even the straight lines of this camera aren't quite working. Well, all of a sudden I feel like I just sobered up. Now I have to put my thinking cap on. My critical thinking cap.
Khan says Macaulay Willis is the latchkey ghost.
Macaulay Willis. Yeah, so I don't know. It looks, maybe if there were more absolute straight lines, because it looks like it is drawn pretty square. I think I tapered some of these lines a little bit too much. So
That
that's,
circle is definitely
yeah, the circle's tweaked.
distracting.
Yeah. Yeah, something like this. But I think you guys see where I'm going with this. And I'm not sure if viewfinders or these little open areas, I think they're supposed to be lined up
Yeah.
with the front. So maybe where the thing is losing structure is in the front plane of the camera. So this square right here maybe should be more horizontal and vertical with the camera. Excuse me. So maybe that's what's throwing it off. And then definitely the circle of the lens. Hold on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think this piece was done purely freehand, says Nick.
Yeah, it does. It looks freehand. But even though you're painting and stuff with markers and things, you still have to have it structurally sound. I don't care for. Let me see if I can do this with this.
Sorry, everyone.
I don't. These hatches right in here. I don't think it serve.
Khan just said something. I don't know if this is true, but they were talking about The Walking Dead. He says the term zombie is copywritten. There's a lot of stuff that has zombie though, like a lot of market stuff that uses the word zombie.
I mean, it could be. So he's hinting at that maybe the reason Walking Dead doesn't call itself a zombie is because they can't legally.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of this hatching isn't really working. Some of this here, let me find. Give me a red. Get my red back.
Hashtag give me a red.
Give me a red. That's not quite my red.
Joe says it's the details of this piece that need a little sprucing up.
Yeah, I think so. Like right in here, these lines are a little thin and unstructured. So I think the main thing would be to structure up the camera. This fade on the eye here, right on top, isn't quite working. I think it needs to.
And that eyebrow looks like kind of strange.
Yeah, there's something like right in here that's not quite working. Maybe more of a fade into the eyebrow to transition. One of my favorite things right here, and like I focus on weird stuff, but is that laugh line right there. It's really nice. I would thicken up this jawline a little bit more with the black line, and possibly sometimes the more I look at things, the more I can see that I don't initially. Let's try.
The chat says the aperture of the camera is nowhere near his eye. I can't unsee it now.
Oh, you guys, it should be right in here. Yeah, that's funny.
That might have been a problem with the photo he refed itself, because if the camera really did, because I'm assuming this is like heavily refed, that guy, if he was really holding the camera like that, it would have been way off anyway.
Yeah, it looks like he might have taken a photo or got in a picture from a cosplayer at a con or something.
The chat says Con says can't unsee.
Yeah, I can't. You guys got good eyes. That's good.
Ooh, that glove part was a nice touch art that made a big difference.
Yeah, I think maybe because he does have a black line around stuff, but maybe it's just not defined clearly enough. So, and it cleans it up a little bit and sharpens the focus.
I'm fairly certain I recognize the Joker cosplay and the possible photo he used for reference as Wolverine. Yeah, I think it's...
Yeah, I do too.
It's definitely a cosplayer for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I don't talk in absolutes because I'm not 100%, but I think you're right.
It's a weird way to hold that camera, but it might have been how the cover was, I don't know.
Yeah, and sometimes gloves can distort structure of the hands. That's why sometimes you have to, when you use photo reference, sometimes it's not good to follow it 100%. Sometimes it's better to just use what works and then what doesn't, just get rid of. This eye is pretty good. It's pretty dark. It's pretty structured. I like that. This jawline here, I think if it had more weight to it, let's see what this looks like now. I don't know. It might be a little too thick, but it definitely it starts looking more solid. So these are like Adam Hughes does this, where you kind of take a comic book type outline and then you almost render it realistically. And so that's a really fine kind of line between the two. So I would say for this mystery artist, maybe look at some more Adam Hughes and figure out how to bring some of the more comic book traditional line work into the more realistic rendering.
And
And
please, sorry, go ahead.
and it might help. I was going to sum up that it might help you understand a way to do it better. Go ahead.
And please remember, you guys, you'll find the link in the description if you want to submit for or to review your work. But please put your name in the file name. It really does help.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do something. Maybe I could do it with this tool here.
Oh.
Yeah. Do I lock this down?
Yeah. I guess just
And
fill it
then
with
let's
black,
see. I
maybe?
can do this.
Oh yeah.
It really you have it on like a crop line, like it's almost tangenty where the hair was with the border. But look how much better it looks with a little bit of breathing room here on top. So once again, when you lay out your images, try to really focus on the composition. So when you're first drawing the image, I know sometimes you're so focused on just figuring out how to draw it that you're not looking at it compositionally. But always when you're drawing, think about how it fits into the page, the composition that you're drawing it into. I do that, but I usually I would work this out in a sketch, like a rough sketch, and then I would try to get everything right as much as I could. But then what I do is I light box it onto another sheet. So by light boxing it, I can move it. So let's just say I drew it exactly the way this guy had, where the hairline is almost touching the border. Well, then once I light box it, I can see it clearly because now I have my structure, I have my whole image drawn in. Then I can figure out how the best way to put it into the composition is. So sometimes you get overwhelmed just drawing the image and you don't think about it compositionally. So maybe that would be a way to think about it, is draw it in a rough, get all your your image in place, and then light box it or put it down later over a different composition or the same composition, but you can move around the image to make it fit in better. So this is quite good. Once again, like stuff like this, I can comment on more, but it's not really real comic book stuff. So, but it is quite good. So let's go to this. This one's called Kingdom, and it's Daniel. No last name, but I think there's a name in the corner. So Daniel did me a solid.
Bless you.
God. This could take some time. I sneeze a lot. Is that Daniel Libert?
Libert?
Libert. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. So I think we have a couple pages by Daniel. And thanks, Daniel, for incorporating your name into the work. That is a big plus.
Chat says props to Daniel for putting himself out there. And also many people say bless you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I might not be done, by the way. This looks a little Tom Selleck-y.
Yes, it does.
Tom Selleck in his prime. Photograph always.
Making that woman cry.
Oh, poor Tom.
I wonder what the
You
dialogue...
notice the sympathy went to Tom?
I wonder what the dialogue is.
I I don't know, but they might be double teaming this poor girl.
She's looking a little Shelley Duvall-ish.
Yeah. Okay. That's a pretty neat effect. I think do you think this is kind of like one of those heat? You know how like in like the Sierra and stuff you see it and there's like this weird glassy
The heat reflection.
yeah, it's like a heat reflection on the sand and it almost looks like water.
Or it is coming out of water. I can't really tell.
This looks I don't know, for some reason this looks very biblical to me. So it looks like, you know, I don't know, I always put these things in desert climates for some reason. And at first I was registering this over here as a palm tree, but I'm not sure.
I thought it was a little boat, but I can't tell.
I'll blow up and
This
see.
is definitely traditional.
Well, you don't have a castle. Well, I guess there could be a moat, but that would be a huge moat.
It looks like it's in the middle of the water, if that is water, but I don't know.
What's that engine, Mortal Engine? It's like from that new movie Mortal Engine. So it's a big castle that just floats on water. It's like Mortal Engine meets Waterworld.
Ooh. Somebody says, Star Tiger says, Tom Selleck versus Gene Simmons. What was this movie again?
Oh wait, Runaway. What was that? There was like robotic spiders or something.
What?
No, there was.
I'm sold on this movie.
Oh, do you have your phone? You got to type this
look it
in.
up.
I did see that. Yeah, Gene Simmons was the villain.
What?
Was it called Runaways or something?
You had me at Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons.
There was some kind of robotic. I thought maybe a robotic spider. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was.
It was Runaway.
That was a weird call, but cool.
In this advanced society, most homes have robots that perform everyday menial duties. Every so often, one malfunctions, and Sergeant Jack Ramsey is an expert in rogue machines. This sounds a little black and whitish.
Ooh.
When he and his new partner okay, so I guess they investigate a homicide to do with the robot. This also sounds like the movie Automata, but
way predates Automata.
yeah. Someone is programming robots to kill, and the police must find who is behind the murder before more harm is done.
And I think that person is Gene Simmons.
That's awesome.
Gene Simmons in the role of a lifetime. I don't know. I think this needs maybe some details or something. I see them penciled in. But maybe a couple more. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, it gives it a little life. So I don't know, maybe some more details here. And I don't know. This is all watercolor. It's really nice. Maybe that's too dark or too stark. Not too dark.
Sorry, Googling this just led me to what might be our next verses. There's a movie out right now I had no idea existed called AXL that's about a guy with a robot dog.
Uh-oh.
And it looks very serious.
Serious as a heart attack. So that would be my suggestion, to try to jive this up a little bit. I'm trying to figure out the base of this. If maybe it should have like, I don't know, like maybe if you had windows, you know, sometimes like these windows would cast like reflections or something. I don't know. This gets into very realistic realm. I'm just trying to figure out a way to maybe jive this thing up. And since this kind of cuts in, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, some kind of details.
Light going, yeah, it definitely would help.
Just a way to jive this up a little bit. It gets a little flat-ish in this big area.
Denali wants to know if you remember the movie Free Jack.
Oh my god! Oh wait! Don't say anything in the chat. It's It had another rock guy. It was Mick Jagger. It had to do with race cars or something. Oh my gosh. I think I nailed it.
I've never heard of that movie.
Free Willy, Free Jack. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. Crop.
Free Jack was pretty cool. Mick Jagger was awesome in it.
Ah, I did call it. That's funny. Mick Jagger. Yeah, I think he played the villain too. Okay, you know what we should do? We should see how many rock guys have been in movies.
We should do.
Because Sting was in Dune. David Bowie was in a couple movies, actually.
We should do Free Jack versus
Runaway?
Runaway, because they're both like future tense stories with like rock guys in it. That but also have to do with
Future.
well, I guess not robots, but like a bleak future.
She's a little runaway, yay, yay. So how do I do it? Okay, so I Control T. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. So maybe if we moved this down compositionally, crop it, and hit Control D, and then let's see what happens when I do this. This is going to be crude, guys, but something.
Gets the idea of the crop. Ooh, I kind of liked that.
Oh, since Taylor liked it, let's keep it. So you guys get the idea that if maybe you move this down compositionally, the focus becomes more on this and less on the ground. And then you also, because your panel would be up here. Let me figure this out. Like your panel would be up here more. So then you would have more room for your balloons or whatever's going to go up here. So, and then, you know, of course, the border would connect there. But just an idea, because then the focus becomes more on the castle, and then you get a little bit more room at the top of the composition.
Mm-hmm.
This composition is really good because once you put your word balloons in here, you know, it's going to be perfect. And then this guy will probably speak last. Something like that. So when you lay out comic books, you definitely have to think about where the word balloons are going to go as well. And Daniel definitely did in that panel. So I can't really qualify watercolor too much. I do like watercolor art, but I think, Daniel, you're losing some structure.
Can you think of any comics that like really utilize watercolor super well?
You know what? One of my favorite just combinations of line art and watercolor is what Mike Mignola does. I don't know, his covers, his stuff that he does like that, it really works for me.
Joe brought up Descender. That's a really good example.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Dustin.
Yeah, he's very good.
All right, these are real hard hands, Daniel, to do, but I'm gonna have to bust your hump a little bit. It's not really that good. So
especially if you're gonna focus in on.
Yeah, it's really a main focus. So I would say maybe you did look at a photograph, but I would start trying to figure out how the structure of the hand works, and study that a little bit more. So maybe do some hand studies. One thing, when I was in school, I had a life drawing teacher, and he told me, he'd give assignments. So we had sketchbooks, and he would say, I need 50 hand drawings, 2 minutes each. So you can only spend 2 minutes on each one of the hands, and then you would do like 50 of them in an evening. And then it kind of forced you to start seeing the hand and drawing it in repetition. So maybe start doing some hand studies. Get a notebook or a sketchbook, and just start doing hand studies. I have a sketchbook full of hands, just hands that I've drawn over and over. Well, not the same hand, but various positions and stuff like that. And challenge yourself in your sketchbook. So if you know there's a certain hand structure that you have a hard time with, draw those ones. Challenge yourself in your sketchbook. The time to make mistakes is in your sketchbook, not in your actual pages. So go draw in your sketchbook and then come back around and then bring that into your comic book art, your storytelling. So this is one of the things. It's kind of it's a pretty good basic rule that figures and things should work in a silhouette. So if you look at this character's silhouette, let me see here. I'm gonna do it in a red.
And real quick, Spider, if you want to send your artwork, just check the link in the description. The link to the Dropbox will be there where you guys can submit your artwork for review.
Yeah, it's the media file or media fire. So when you break this shape down, that's the shape you have. Well, that could be anything, and it's not that interesting. So when you guys come up with your figure work and your storytelling, try to come up with interesting shapes. Even though this guy's coming into the room, it doesn't have to be all straight up and down. It can vary. So one of the things that I was playing with is that make his arm come out, maybe. So then all of a sudden you have an interesting shape coming out. And possibly the silhouette thing is if you even have a little bit of a gap there. Because then if you, well, let's see if I can do this.
It looks more natural too, actually.
Oh, thanks. And possibly have this come out like it's under the cape. His elbow actually, I screwed this up. His elbow would probably be in there somewhere, and then
Inkwell says he's going through the toughest time of his life right now, and he's saying it because you're helping him so much.
oh,
He really
awesome.
enjoys your stuff, it sounds like.
I'm glad. And then like if there's a little bit of a gap, maybe like this leg is coming forward. So let's see if this works. Oh, it's not going to work. I was going to try to like fill this area with a solid color so you could see the silhouette. It's going to take forever. But you get the idea that it becomes a more interesting silhouetted shape. Wow, wasn't a great idea, Art, but you get the idea. That I feel obsessed, like I have to do it. But see, you can see it. You see the shape now?
It definitely reads better.
So try to think of things in even the most mundane kind of poses. Try to think of the most interesting way that you can do that. And one of the reason I'm doing this is it's kind of an exercise that if you can make it work in the silhouette form, then I think now you can kind of recognize it as at least a human form, where before it just looked like it could have been anything as far as the shape. So I hope that helps, Daniel. I know it took a long time for me to get that to work. So there's that. And we got the hand, good face. Once again, like with the Joker drawing, you have a kind of black line, like a comic book holding line, but a lot of the watercolor is going over it, so it's kind of making the line disappear. So your structure isn't as, oh man. as solid as it could be. Um, so give me a red. Give me a red. So the eyes you can see aren't straight. And then find your center. And somewhere in here, actually it's not quite it.
I'd really like a picture of the mouse action.
One of these days, I'll let you in on all my secrets.
If we get like really good like cameras and figure out how to do this stuff, we could have the mouse cam.
Yeah. I've been told I'm kind of a genius with the mouse. And I have used a Wacom. I know I'm old, but I have tried it. But I have one. At this moment in time, I actually prefer the mouse. And maybe it's just because I'm more familiar with it. If I logged more time in with the Wacom tablet that I have. So you can see kind of how it's structuring up here. So, and the mouth's over a little too far. So, more like this. So you can kind of see the structure coming in. And also this is hard to get. Is there's planes. So I don't know if I can draw too much into the plane action here. But this red line is kind of like the frontal plane of the face. It's really crudely drawn. But then if you, let me see if I can get a skull in here, a back of a head, and then a neck.
Sheldon says, "What was your process of learning anatomy? Art, books, pictures, live figures, etc.?"
Yeah, everything. Take a lot of life drawing classes. I was still taking life drawing courses, I think 7 years into me working. Wait, yeah, on and off. But the first 3 years I was working professionally, I took life drawing classes every night. Well, it was twice a week, I should say, for that complete 3 years. After that, for the next 7 years, I took it on and off. So when I had time or felt I had time or needed to work on my craft. And then, anatomy books, the Andrew Loomis book, the Bridgman book, even on some part what is it? Bern Hogarth, the Marvel, How to Draw the Marvel Way is actually it's
a good book.
It's not a bad book, and so, and then just life, just observe everything you guys need to know about drawing. It's there, like it's provided for you. Just think about it. Start think about it in more of a critical way, and you'll become better at it. So just ask yourself, why is that? How does that work? Ask yourself questions, and just be more critical when you see things and how you would draw them. Because even perspective you can learn just by observation and things like that. So books help, and I would just say, all the above, and anatomy books like what I just did here, the structuring this up, they'll show you how to do that stuff.
Mommy would like to know, as a follow-up question, what if your style is more cartoon than real life? Does taking life drawing still help?
Yeah. The thing is, most of my education is in real life stuff. So I wanted to be an illustrator. So I kind of studied more, less cartooning and more real life. And so I think it was a little bit of a disservice to myself. I really wish I would have taken more cartooning lessons and I would have studied cartooning a little bit more, because the thing about cartooning is it teaches you really simple ways of capturing things, and animation, it's all about movement as well. So it's very gestural, it's very getting things down quickly, And also like cartooning teaches you, like, I don't know, when I studied it late, you guys. I did a book called Chronomechanics, and I kind of got into cartooning, gosh, maybe 10, 12 years ago. I really started studying it. And one thing about cartooning, and it actually gets into this in the Marvel, How to Draw the Marvel Way, is there's like facial shapes like this, and you think like there's no human that has a face like that, shape like that. Of course, here would be the eyes, and then the nose, and then the mouth, and then it would probably be a bigger person, a chubbier person. Um, but then this simple shape, I hope you guys can see it because I'm drawing it right over poor Daniel's work. Um, if you look at it, like, it seems very cartoony, but there's actually people that have faces like this. There's shapes like this. It's just more realistic. Um, so cartooning teaches you like real basic shapes and how to think about drawing, like even like square, like more square faces. There's people that have more squared off faces, you know. And animation and cartooning teaches you those things. I'm trying to think of some others. Like you have like the real top heavy, heads, like the light bulb shaped heads, you know, and then the necks and shoulders. Like there's people, believe it or not, that have head shapes like this. So the one thing that kind of screwed me up in school since I started studying drawing is like bone structure, how to draw from within and then build out. But cartooning kind of, because that's more bone and that's more understanding the internal structure and then drawing out from that, which is a good way to draw. But cartooning shows you those just memorized shapes. And so when you're drawing comic books, if you can memorize, like, oh, the villain has a round head or more rounded head, the hero has an elongated head, one of the other characters has more of a squared off head. So if you can think about those ideas, that can key you into drawing various structured faces. And then there's body types too. There's the pear shape, there's the squared off, there's the blocky, there's the rounded, there's the body shapes too that fit these. And animation and cartooning teaches you those. And that's why I really wish I would have had that more in my early learning period. So yeah, I'd say all the above, especially if you want to do comic books, all the above. So this is a perspective thing. I think that you see too much of the top of the bottle here.
Everybody's talking about there's always roundhead Ryan Johnson in the chat.
Yeah, there's always Ryan. Yeah, see, there's actual people that have those shapes. Like if you just observe in life and you think, oh man, that cartoony shape is way overdone, just go to the mall, just go to a ball game, just observe crowds, go to the park, and you'll find that you'll see people like that. I mean, most people have the, pretty normal shapes, but there are people with those exaggerated shapes. And if you can memorize those shapes and you create characters that have those shapes, um, it'll help you shorthand some of your drawing. So here's like just one of those structured things. Build the line up a little bit more solid. The hand as well. And like I was saying on the other guy with the camera, even though this is watercolor and it's freehand, you still need to structure the stuff up better. So when you draw this stuff initially, rule it up. And then you can do your brush line after that, but at least you'll have a structured line. I was fortunate enough to have kind of a Q&A, like a real intimate Q&A with Frank Frazetta when I was younger. And he said, always draw your pencils tight. He said, you can always loosen them up in the inks, but it's harder to tighten it up in the inks. So this would still apply, because what he's saying is in the finished product, it's harder to loosen. I mean, it's easier to loosen it up from a structure than to tighten it up. So case in point, if you had this window all structured perfectly, because pencil line, you can do it with a light pencil line, and then come over with your watercolor, then you always have more structure to it. So always think about. I thought it was good advice. I know there's people that can structure things up pretty well over a loose pencil, and I can do that. I just prefer to have it tight and then loose. So then all the thought work is also done early on. So then when you ink or when you do your watercolor, you don't have to think about it as much, because I've said this before and I'll keep saying it because I'm going to brand this, because I've never heard anybody explain it this way, and I wish I would have earlier on. When you're writing and you're penciling, those are trial and error. Those are like, you do it, you don't like it, you crinkle it up, you do it again. It's a process. So when you're writing, they always say writing is just rewriting. So it's draft after draft after draft after draft. Well, when you sketch and you draw, it's similar. So you're drawing and you're drawing and drawing until you can get what you want on paper. So it's a process. But when you're watercoloring, in the case of Daniel's artwork here, or when you're inking, the time to think is not when you're doing those things, because this is the difference. When you ink or you watercolor and you do your final process like this, it's a performance. Think about inking, think about watercoloring as like you're a singer, you're in a musical and you're on stage, or you're a rock star and you're playing in front of like 50,000 people at a stadium. It's a performance. So whatever you do in that performance, that's what defines that performance. So if your voice cracks or you forget a word or you forget a line, if you're on stage and doing, theatrical stuff, that's the performance. That's going to define that moment in time. So that moment is defined by that spontaneity, by that movement, by that performance. So when you ink and you watercolor, it actually is more of a performance than it is a process. So when you're penciling and you're writing, think about those things as process. Forgive yourself if you don't get it the first time. Try it again. Erase. Keep trying. Keep trying. It's a process. But when you're inking or you're watercoloring like this, whatever you do, that's it. There's no going back on it. It's done. It will define that piece of artwork, for better or for worse. It will be that performance. So I say that to try to help people think about the final process versus, penciling and writing. Those are processes. Watercolor inking is a performance. So I hope that helped.
Spider Boy says, no sketch is your best work because there's always room for improvement.
Exactly, and that's kind of the nature of that. When you're watercoloring or you're inking, that there's no time for that.
Mommy brings up something. It's really weird saying your name.
Mother. I think of that.
In the chat.
I keep thinking of that Danzig song.
Sometimes I worry that my style doesn't fit the comic book world because it's cartoony.
Oh no. Gosh, was it the 90s, Taylor? That's kind of the time that you were more coming in. But there was like J. Scott Campbell. There was Humberto Ramos.
They were all cartoony.
There was, what is his name? Herrera. Oh my gosh, I love his work. What's his name? Something with an Francisco yes. Herrera. Oh my gosh, there was even like Chris Pacello. There was a lot of like more cartoony aspects. Or artists that were coming into the industry.
Not everybody has to draw like Adam Hughes.
Yeah, everything doesn't have to be realistic. And that's the really cool thing about comics, is it doesn't have to be. So don't feel like beholden to that. Your voice it could be the cartoony aspects.
Someone in the chat brought up Usagi Yojimbo by Stan Sakai. That guy's had a career.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that really defines him, and it's very cartoony.
Yeah, well, Ninja Turtles too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a very cartoony style.
One of the most successful comics.
One of the things what they're doing is, what those guys do is they take a very cartoon structure and then they put a realistic ink line over it. So it seems a little bit more realistic than it really is. And that stuff is pretty amazing. And even some of the guys that you think are more realistic, there may be some cartooning there that you just don't see. This is one of those cases of silhouettes and trying to make more interesting figures, because you have this guy on the left, his body type and his gesture is almost identical to this other guy. The only exception is his head's down. So this guy's walking. It looks like he's walking away because there's this kind of, let me, give me a red. There's this movement here that's going here in this direction. So let's say he's kind of walking away because he's also turning back here. So maybe make his arms behind his back. Let me get it black so you can see it better. So maybe if his arms were more behind his back. That's a really big arm, guys, so forgive me. I got to start moving on. We got another artist here too. So you can see it. So by put his arms behind him, it's giving more movement. Like he's not he's going in this direction. So he's kind of walking away, but his arm, it's almost like subliminal, like his arm is going in this direction and his tunic is going in this direction, implying that there's movement, like he's going this way, in this direction. And then this guy, it's also kind of boring, like I told you, like the silhouette shapes. So he's a profile. I don't know. I would maybe 3/4 this guy. Like I said, I got to try to move on. So I'm going to try to do this fast.
There's a lot of Joe Mad fans in the chat chiming in about cartoony styles.
Well, you know what? A little tidbit. I inked Joe Mad's first Marvel work.
Really?
Yeah, he did the X-Men trading cards, and I inked all his trading cards. So you can see this guy's more of a 3/4 shot. So you can already see the dynamics are different. It starts becoming more interesting. And also, you're cropping. I'm sorry, I can't not say it in this way. It's really bad. Like, it's really too close to this guy's head. And I know I drew his head up higher, but it was still really close here. So always be careful with that. And if you have this guy a profile, he looks like he's moving away, and then this guy is more 3/4, so it looks like he's standing more still. So it's a subliminal way of making movement. Her shoulders don't always have to be straight, but I think if you move this one up a little bit and then had this movement, her arms are a little long, it would probably be better. We got the Tom Selleck thing. Like I said, guys, I gotta try to move this. So this eye is over way too far, so it needs to come over in that direction. So once again, try to think about structuring more. And since he's looking over his shoulder, I think I would try to define the shoulder a little bit more to give yourself like a, what do they call it? Like a landmark. So it looks like he's turning in this direction. Because if you had a landmark, then you know that's his shoulder and he's looking over his shoulder. Yeah, you still have this guy right in front of the door. And it looks like he's really close to this lady here. And the lady is not established.
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
In this mid-ground. So to really pull this shot off, it seems like she would have been somewhere in this shot. But anyway, I would do away with this door, because also I don't think compositionally it's working. And if I was going to keep the door in, I think it would be more interesting if you did it smaller. And then it would help frame his figure in. And also move the elbow out just a bit. And your arms are really long, Daniel. They're really, really long. This elbow is way down here off the panel. So work on your length of your arms. Silhouette, always remember when you do a profile of an eye, it's not elongated anymore. It's foreshortened. So if you have the eye looking straight at it like this, when it's in profile, it's more like this. And I exaggerated it, but you get the feeling or the hint. Like here would be the eyelash.
Spider Boy
Let me go
and
bigger
Comic
so you
Book
can see
Bob
that.
in the chat were talking about how Jim Lee uses himself as a reference for his drawings. Have you ever done that art? What do you usually use when you have to use reference?
Um, I just use photo reference usually or friend. Um, I'm usually the guy shooting the image, so I don't usually use myself. So um, I have friends. Well, I was more like in my neighborhood. The friends I grew up with were kind of sports guys, so they usually had a fairly decent physique. So I almost exclusively in my old stuff used photo reference. I had a Polaroid camera and I would shoot reference. And I think that's because of my illustrative background. I wasn't ready to really move on from the photo reference. And I still work really well off photo reference, but I think I've learned how to interpret them into my style. Because sometimes people use the photo reference and they're too reliant on it. They're
Yeah.
too literal with it. And I think it should be used as a tool, but not as a literal kind of like where you're just aping the photograph.
Your entire process,
Yeah, I think it looks kind of boring too.
And you can tell usually when people do that.
Yeah, there are guys that can pull it off, um, but not a lot. I think Alex Ross can do it pretty well. But there's a joint missing from this finger, I think.
Yeah.
I
It's a little thumb-ish.
Yeah, once again, Daniel, look at more hands. Do some hand studies, like I said, and then you have this joint, you have this joint, and then you have this joint. I hope you guys can see. I'm kind of not doing it big. That is a horrible, horrible finger art. Um, but like right here, about half of that is like the finger length. Then here would be the mid, and then the fingertip there. So this whole shape here, I hope you guys can see, would be the finger. It's a little thick what I drew, but I'm trying to move fast. So your knuckle lines are way back here and here. Well, what did I do? Do do do. And that's not quite. The reason I drew this line here is that should be your knuckle line, and then this is the back of your hand up to your wrist, and then your wrist and forearm is right in here. So if you can find this line, your knuckle line, then you know where your fingers should be coming from. And then just always segment them. Your pinky looks really good. So kind of like that. So like I showed, like the eyes are a little bit misplaced. The nose is a little long. And the ear is a little low. And a little bit into the face. So even though this is why I draw things off of my board. I do a sketch sometimes. Is you want to draw kind of through and beyond. Like you guys saw me draw the rest of her face in here. That helps to find things, and even hairlines and stuff like that. It really does. And until you get it down, like some artists can just do that because they've done it a million times. But until you get those proportions down, I say keep drawing off and beyond your panel to find things. I still do. I don't have as many hours logged in as like some other guys do. So it doesn't come as easy. This is pretty good. Shaman's Destiny. So this kind of looks like a cover image, maybe. And I'm looking for a name. Oh, I can't find it.
I don't see it in the file. Aid.
After John and Sal. This is a Thor cover, I think, with a Silver Surfer and Thor. So it's ADL, yeah. But I don't. Is this an H and then plus ADL? So maybe ADL is the colorist, but it says after John, and so that's usually the penciler.
Yeah, I don't know.
The H is above it.
I can't tell if that's an HP, but it has a little curl, which makes me think it is an HE. I don't
HP,
know.
or maybe it's an HPL. I don't know. You guys watch with your artsy signatures. So I think this is, yeah, it's a take on. I think Silver Surfer was coming in. Do you remember that cover, Taylor?
Yeah,
He's on a surfboard, and then Thor's back here, and his hammer is over here. So pretty good. This might be two different people, so it might be a penciler, inker, colorist. So I'm sorry, guys. I think I need to eat again. Arm's pretty good here. It looks a little short. It's a little short in here. So maybe the elbow needs to be here somewhere. And the neck is way too long.
Nick says, I'm salty the old guy is wearing old guy tube socks. He is.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Or if they were color like black or gray, then they would just look like dress socks maybe.
Yeah, the white tube sock makes it look funny.
The color is, yeah, you're right. Let's make it gray.
It's formal wear, man. You can't be wearing white tube socks.
Yeah, you can't be mixing that. And there's something about the style I like, but I have to say something about it. Ooh, what did I do? Boom. I guess it's okay for like, cause some people do, have saggy britches, but I would also bring up. Oh, I got the wrong color. Give me a red. I need my reds. I think this needs to come up a little bit. It's a little too long. I think some of your stuff's a little too short, like in the arm, and some of it's a little too long, like the neck. This is pretty good. Yeah.
I can't tell if those pants are jeans or dress pants.
I think they're supposed to. I think he's supposed to have a suit. I think it's a torn up like dress suit.
Because they definitely look like jeans with the side seam and the way the pockets and buttons and belt loops.
Yeah, because it's a double seam. If it was dress slacks or whatever, it would probably have just a single line. Also, this, unless these are like old, like, God, 70s, like bell bottoms, didn't they have like the waistline went up high on them?
Yeah.
Like this looks a little too high. And the head size here doesn't match with the head size here. So I think the guy leaping down should be a little bit favored in the composition. So maybe he should be a little bit bigger than this guy, because the bearded guy is his head's way bigger than the other guy.
Spider Boy says, when I look at that, I guess that image, Duel of Fates from Star Wars starts playing in my head. That
Yeah, I don't know. This could be right, but I don't care for it. The toe coming in. I think it'd look more powerful if it was more of a profile of the shoe. I think sometimes when you do like the toe coming in, it looks kind of like a kid like kind of being cutesy, or
Yeah.
a girl like, I'm being coy. It doesn't look tough guy-ish. And here's where I was going with the baggy. that shoe.
That's a penny loafer.
Yeah, but look at this.
It's
Like,
very loose.
yeah, it's very loose. So either that's one of those wooden shoes, that the Dutch wear,
A clog.
a clog, clogging, or it's just the shoe is way too big. So it works for the guys' saggy britches, but it really doesn't work here. And let me see, there's something, I think, just directionally speaking, this thing here going down does not serve the composition. It brings your eye down and out in this direction. So I would probably either not do it or maybe have it up here and then just do away with this down here.
Nick says slip-ons I find never feel tight enough on the foot.
Yeah, you can kick them off in a fit of joy. That's a Dane Cook joke. Kick them off in a fit of joy. Another thing that bugs me. Okay, this is a colors thing. Is when okay.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
When the beams go in front of the figure, like I don't know. I don't think it should be crossing over into or past the figure. So that didn't really help, but yeah, and the backgrounds, I don't think the backgrounds are serving it very well. I think if maybe some of these elements weren't there, it might look better. And I don't know. I hear my old editor, Mike Carlin, in my head right now. Especially if this is a cover, you should never crop the figure out. And I don't know if the original John Buscema, can you find that, Taylor? It's a Thor, maybe John Buscema Silver Surfer Thor cover. See what comes up. Because I have a feeling that the foot is in that composition. I know he has a surfboard that comes in here, and maybe the surfboard crops out of the composition, but it doesn't.
I found it. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like.
No, it shows the full figure.
Yeah. And is it okay? I'm not going to dox you or
go ahead.
anything. Let me see if you guys can see that.
Yeah, his full figure is.
Yeah, so you guys, never ever crop, especially on a cover. Like, I was always told you can do this once you establish that this character can fly, if that's indeed what he's doing. And if he's leaping, more importantly, you need that foot in there. And also, just to be more detailed, you need what he's jumping off of. So, otherwise it just looks like he's jumping off of nothing, like he is flying.
Nick also says the background doesn't do the conflict in the foreground any justice.
Exactly, yeah. Let me see. Where was I going with this? Okay, maybe, I don't know. I know you're trying to do your ode to John Buscema and stuff, but maybe if this guy was more, the guy leaping was more in the background, but you wouldn't have. Well, maybe you could still do this. Like, this is a cave. Well, no, you can't. You can't do this.
I don't know.
Because I was thinking if this was a rock, like it was back, but maybe closer to this guy, and then the light beams coming. Well, maybe it could work. And then have this guy with the saggy britches jumping more forward towards him, like foreshorten it more where he's leaping forward. Then you see what he's leaping off of. And then maybe you can fill up some of the background with the Cave of Wonders or something. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. It's not bad. There's just a couple like little tweaks. I think I'm going to get rid of Kingdom.
He's jumping off in a fit of joy, says Sheldon.
The fit of joy. Okay. So now I can keep track of my stuff a little better. Well, if this is the first page, I'm intrigued. The leaper he's beat up pretty bad here. So I'm gonna say this. You can do this, excuse me, oh my gosh. As an establishing, because you're not seeing what he's hooked to or anything, but what it does is it intrigues you. It's like, what's going on? This guy's beat up and he's hanging from something. Usually you don't have a shot like this because you need to know what he's hanging from and all those other things. But what you can do, especially for the start of a story, is you can suck them in with a visual. And it's kind of like you're throwing them in the middle of a situation, like what's going on? But if the next page is not an establishing shot of him hanging, then you did not do your storytelling justice. Let's see. Is this page 2? I don't know. This is going in. No, he's here, right?
I think that's him in that first panel too, just zoomed out. It's a little hard to read.
Okay. And also he's not hanging. He's more, his arms are to his side.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it doesn't quite match. It looks like his arms should be higher up. Anyway, yeah, you pulled it back, so you did what you're supposed to do, but what you have now is you have 2 panels that are almost conveying the exact same information. It's like 2 establishing shots that are both very ineffective, just to be honest. So I think what I would do is, if you could do it one of 2 ways. You could reveal this guy the way you have, but have him, that's too big, but have him more like full figure, and then where you see his arms kind of connected to whatever. You could even do this as a semi-down shot, maybe. There's a center line. And then, like, whatever's holding his arm, in place, if it's this magic, and then it's going back to this gold rock or whatever, then you draw your gold rock here. And then you have the energy coming off of it, and I guess like holding his wrist or whatever. I hope that's clear for you guys. I'm trying to move a little faster than usual.
Yeah, it's funny. What we're seeing doesn't look like it's exactly what you guys are seeing. It looks a little bit more zoomed out. So maybe I'll zoom in and post.
Yeah.
But I think you guys are seeing this because people are mostly commenting on the colors. Those colors are beautiful, says Spider-Boy. And Nick agrees. What do you think of the color on this piece?
Yeah, I think the colors are pretty good. So I'm just going to do this since I said clarification. Because sometimes when I draw over the panel that's existing, it's hard to see. I can tell what I'm trying to do, but I don't know if you guys can. So something like that. And then here's like, this would be the power that he has coming off of that rock and then going around his wrists.
Are you doing that for the purpose of filling up more of the panel?
No, I'm doing it to clarify from the first panel more where he is. So it's kind of a slow reveal. So in this panel now you see what's holding his wrist. So you see this rock here that's back here. Let me put an X. So that's the rock that you see back here in his original drawing. And then if you notice, like, it looks like coming off that rock is this purple stuff that's kind of holding him in place. Wait a minute, I didn't see these. So maybe it is these pillars, but either, wait a minute, hold on for a minute.
Yeah, it's really hard to read.
Yeah, it's too small. Maybe I was misreading. I don't know if I can go all the way back.
Well, I think it's that in that first panel too, it does look like the purple's holding him more, but I guess it is those pillars.
Okay, it's hitting him in the back. So it's the pillars. I think the reason I didn't register the pillars is because it's colored the same as everything else. So it just looks like the wall that's behind him. But now that I look at it, it is a column here, but once again, this arm looks like it could be a little higher.
But they look more to his side than in the
Yeah,
first page.
but the first page, his arms were over his head like the way I drew it here. So I think what I would do is I would do the same thing that I had right now, and have this power coming back, and it could be hitting. You know what? I don't know. I think the storytelling is moving a little too fast. I need to think about this and slow my brain down so I can do this justice. Okay, so I was kind of thinking about it more in the lines of just establishing an establishing shot. But let's just say this is more of like a reveal. So you see him a little bit more, and then let's get the red in here and do it here. Okay, so we have the red pillars coming in, and maybe a hint of one here. So then the little pillars are holding him up. And so then the yellow rock and stuff is right behind him. And maybe let's just say it's glowing purple. So you have that purple energy coming off. So it's some kind of powerful thing that's right behind him. So this is more of a reveal, but it's giving you more. It's not the ultimate reveal, but it's starting to give you storytelling aspects that first page didn't. The first page just shows like there's this beat up guy, right? And you're like intrigued, like, oh, well, what's going on? What's happening with him? And then the next panel, you get more of like, oh, he's chained up or he's held up by these rock columns, and then some mysterious gold rock behind him glowing, and that there's energy coming off, like, ooh, what's going to happen to him? So you're revealing a little bit more. And then this panel, I think what this panel should be is in the second panel, he's being hit by that energy. I would do it one of two ways. In that first panel, let me see if I still have it. Instead of him like in that docile, maybe because there's that gold from that energy rock, maybe do it this way, and it might be more effective. Let's see if we can get this to work. So you have maybe that purple energy hitting him here. And then you have, instead of like him kind of in that like position that his head's in, I'm doing a bad job. Have his head back.
Devilish Boredom says that would it be building up to a more full picture.
Yeah, so like if you have him like his head's back and his eyes are like wide open and he's just screaming like 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 he's being whacked. So it would move the storytelling along a little faster, but it still gives you like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What is that purple energy? Who's doing this to him? It still says all those questions are still asked, but it's more like moving it forward. And then the next panel, you see that he's getting whacked by this gold thing here. And then, because what I'm feeling is that this should be a reveal of this guy.
Yeah.
Like one of two things could happen. This panel would be a reveal of this guy, or this panel should be a reveal of this guy. Because it looks like this guy's the bad guy. Like he's
the other one on the cover, right?
Yeah, he's the bearded guy. And they look like they both got jacked in some kind of, I don't know, something happened. So I don't know, maybe since you established this guy here, maybe make him, I'm sorry guys, maybe make him bigger in the composition to where he takes up, like this would be his profile face here. So make him higher up in the composition, his hand wherever here, and this column in the same place basically. It's the same shot, just bigger, and then this thing still coming off his chest. but he's bigger. And then what you can do, let's see if I can do this properly. Give this guy more of a reveal.
Yeah, because this is the second page we're assuming.
Yeah, this perspective is not working, guys. But let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Because also, you don't want the figure to be the same as the panel before. This is why always lay out, because I'm doing this on the fly. So when I said draw and redraw, draw and redraw, that's what I'm talking about. So let's see if we can figure out where this guy would be. So, I don't know, maybe he's, it's a great drawing. Somewhere in here, and then like his arm is bent and you have this energy here. So you see what's happening here? Maybe even have him cross that panel. The right in here is that what's happening is that this guy right here, let's find something that's a neutral. Like this here, and this arm is tying into this. So they're both going to be purple. So you get more of a correlation that this guy is affecting this, whatever this orb is, this gold thing, he's able to manipulate it and bring this purple power into this guy. And I assume that's what's hurting him. And especially if we go back to the first panel where you've established that he is being hurt. So this guy is being hurt in the first panel. Then we have a slower reveal that could be the reveal of the villain, or to keep with your storytelling pacing, it's more of a reveal of like this orb, this energy thing, which I assume is a big storytelling point. I'm not really sure.
So it's on the cover too, so
yeah, that glow coming out of that cave. So then, yeah, maybe that would be, a better way of doing it as a reveal. And then, of course, like I said, this guy is up higher in the composition. And then this would be the column here. I think it's more immediate storytelling. And you get your villain and your hero in a closer proximity. I hope you got, well, I just got rid of my red line. But this guy's somewhere in here. So you can kind of see this guy is in it's the same drawing that was originally there. And then the power is kind of coming off of his chest here. And then the villain is closer. And then he's got the glowing hand. So you tie that directly to whatever's hurting this guy. Especially, like I said, since it was, the first panel had him being, attacked by it. And then this would show more of it. And I just have a feeling, just storytelling wise, that this guy is pulling the power from that gold thing.
I think so,
and then
too.
attacking this guy with it. That's what I'm taking from just the images. So let's move on.
We got Pixel Trader in the chat.
Hey, Pixel Trader. Wow, that was a little bit more complicated, guys, than I was originally thinking it would be. But I hope you guys, could figure it out. I think the color probably makes it a little harder for me to work with it as well. But the colors are really nice. The storytelling is good. So now it looks like we're establishing another character which wasn't established prior. So good shot. I'm not really sure what's happening in this second panel. What do you think, Taylor? What do you think's happening in this?
That's the weird. I was gonna bring that up. That panel is the hardest one to read. I'm not sure what that is actually. Is it?
I think it's obviously supposed to be this character.
Yeah, it's a part of him, but I can't tell if it's, because I thought it was his eye opening at first, but I don't think it is, because I don't know what that round part is.
Well, the only thing as far as a landmark is this the eyebrow, and then eyebrow.
Oh.
So maybe this is
his
the eye.
That's right.
But if that's the case, I think what I would do is move the eye more where it's in frame, but it's closed.
Yeah,
So
because
that
you can't
becomes,
see the bottom of the lid, which I think is what makes
yeah,
it.
and it's not solid. It's kind of done in a non-solid way. So if it was more solid like the eyebrow, then maybe you would read it better as a closed eye. And maybe, I don't know if there's eyelashes like right at the end. And so then when the eye opens, the weird thing is too, usually what you do is you keep going closer on it, but you went pull back, close, and then you pulled back again. So rhythmically, I'm not sure it works because it seems like that the eye should be really big in the composition or bigger than the one before because he's opened it up. So then you're like, ooh, what's going on here? So that would be the eye size. But let's move on. So
He really likes these really far zoomed out panels.
yeah, can you dig it? So we have the can you dig it scene, and it looks like we're cutting away to a different scene. Colorist, this is a major faux pas. Look at this, Taylor. Does it look like it's just a continuation of his body?
It does.
He's the vision. He's phasing through.
Yeah, that I didn't. That's kind of a strange choice.
Yeah, let's.
The color on the last page was kind of interesting, but I feel like this one's a little bit more garish.
Yeah, it's not quite as effective. I think what I would do is I would try to vary my colors. There's a lot of similar colors, and by doing that, this guy stands out more. But this is not a bad shot. Looks like, you know, establishing a kingdom. This guy's some kind of royalty. But once again, it seems like what you're doing is you're establishing the same thing twice, just in a different way. So it's like a repetitive establishing. I think I would have done one or the other, because this is not any more of a reveal than this is. So you're not getting any closer in on this guy than this one. So I would go one or the other as an establishing shot as a first panel. And then I like if you went with this panel, once again, kind of like what I did rhythmically with the other, is I would zoom in a little bit on this guy, on your guy that's talking. Can you dig it? You know, in the panel.
Is there a general rule about that? Like, just progression of like cropping in scenes?
I think this is the open doorway that's right over here. That would be behind him. Then you can also, if you want to, I'm sorry, I'll answer your question, but I want to finish this. This is like right here, this line right here would be this line across here. So you still get a balcony as a reference, and then you get this window or the opening in the castle as a reference. But you get a better sense of the bearded guy, which I think is the guy that's in that previous panel. What was the question again, Taylor?
Is there a general rule when it comes to like cropping in images like that, like keeping them close versus keeping them far? Like, is there kind of an etiquette for storytelling?
I think the basic rule would be try not to be repetitive, because storytelling, the real estate in a comic book, there isn't a lot of it. So what you want to do is you want to vary your shots as much as you can, and you want to give new information as much as you can. So these two shots were kind of similar information. It wasn't really giving you any more information. It was basically just the same idea with a different shot. So as you can see, like this, the way, I hope you guys can understand this. I'm starting to see like maybe I'm the only one that can understand some of my doodles. So this is the guy right here. I hope you can see the shape. So this is his outline. His arms are up. Here's his head. Here's his arm. This is his torso. This opening here is the opening here. This arc here is the arc here. So I hope that helps. And for some reason, do you think those are flashbacks?
Well, I cheated. I was reading the dialogue, but I don't know who's speaking, if it's the guy that's captured or if it's the guy that captured him, because I think it's him projecting the future. So he's like talking about like this is what the future is going to be like, and then that third panel with his legs cuts back to the present.
This is the guy being tortured, right?
I think that's the other guy.
No, the other guy had pants on.
Let me see.
Well, I just whited him out, but you saw the cover.
Oh, you're right.
Like he's got this dress, like, suit on.
Yeah, the skin tone just looked really light, I guess.
And so
and that rabbit guy's, I don't know where.
yeah, so I think he's coming up from behind the guy that's being tortured.
Yeah.
So it maybe so this you think this is like a projection of what the future would be like. So it is kind of like, it's not a flashback, it's like a flash forward.
Yeah, it's like his fantasy of what the future would be like, I guess.
All right. This is an old school rule, but I think they still do these in comic books. If you're going to do that, round the corners, because that usually cues the reader in that it's another time, either future or past.
Nick says, Art D. Berry, you do a great job portfolio reviews. I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Oh, I'm glad. Sometimes I just feel like I get it, but that I may not be translating it to a general audience. So you guys get the feeling, like the hint, like that these, it's a real simple way of showing that this is not part of the normal. And I realize you guys went with narratives, so there's narratives here and there aren't here, so that also helps show that it's not of that time. But by doing this, you can definitely show the difference between the timelines. And also you can get artsy fartsy with these things too. So if you want to do, like, I don't know, a squiggly line or a jaggedy line, but just something that isn't in the continuity.
Sometimes they do color stuff too.
Right. So if you're going to do something like this, you can kind of be artsy with these ideas, and it doesn't throw the reader out of the world. But if you establish this as your flashback, if it's very specific, it can only be the flashback for this guy. You know what I mean? Or flash forward. So if you get something very specific, it defines this moment in time. It's not going to work for everything. That's why the circle ones work for everything.
So you couldn't use it for like another flashback or fantasy.
Yeah, I think the rule would be you could only use it for this guy and in this time period. Otherwise, I think it would throw, like, the language would throw the reader off. So you have this guy sneaking up. He's in silhouette. So we already know kind of, I guess, who he is. But we didn't see a full reveal. So then this looks like the last panel is a full reveal of this guy. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. But the problem is, for me, is you have this relationship between this guy and this, but you haven't reestablished this guy in the page. So you try to establish him by his calves and his shins. And I think you need a little bit more than that.
By my response, you can see how that might be difficult.
Yeah. So it could be a fun way. Once again, a backwards reveal. So you're trying to show that there's this sneaky guy sneaking up, or this shadow figure sneaking up on this guy. But I think what I would have done is, I think I would have did that here, because you've established the guy here. I guess it's your hero. You've established him here and here. So maybe if you maybe had this panel still, but you go into this panel, and then your last panel on this page is the reveal of that guy standing up. I don't know. It's the storytelling pacing is a little weird for me. To be honest, I think bringing this character in when you haven't really fully established these guys, I think is probably a bad thing to do. I think what I would have done is these three panels here, I would keep it on these two guys. I would have a discussion between those two guys and establish them fully here, and then start getting into um, the flashbacks, and then start establishing your rabbit character here, and then reveal him in a last panel. I think that's how I would have done it, because I think you're moving the story too fast, and it becomes disorienting because you're establishing too much too quickly, and that's what I would do. I think that's what the problem I'm having with it, because this is Taylor. This is only the third page.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it is really quick. It's really fast paced, but also I think the fact that that rabbit's design is kind of well, he's not a rabbit. He has a long tail and stuff, but that creature design is kind of a little bit more cartoony. It looks like it's purposefully done that way, but when you see it at the bottom of that second page, it kind of feels like a separate thing.
Reality.
Yeah, so it kind of takes you away from the scene you just established.
Yeah. So
This one, I mean.
I think if just to recap, this is what I would do, and that's kind of why you guys are sending stuff. So I hope I'm not stepping on too many toes, and I am trying to help, not just was this Daniel? Who was this? No, Daniel was the other guy. There's no name on this, right?
No, I don't believe so.
So once
Shaman
again,
something was the name of the book, I believe, but
Shaman, and then we had initials. Yeah.
yeah.
So I wish I had your name so I didn't have to say this guy. So I think what I would do, and once again, just this is just to help you guys, and it's just my point of view. So I think I'd have this guy getting whacked in the back, because I think it would be more impactful. Like you see his eyes wide open and his mouth like screaming in pain, and then he's getting whacked in the back by that purple thing. And maybe, ooh, now that I'm thinking about it, I understand this a little bit more. It's not purple, but it's the color I established. That since you have this chest here, you could have that purple energy coming out of his chest. Like, so you get to see, like, he's not just getting whacked in the back, that it's actually penetrating him. It's coming through him. So then you have that energy there. So you know this guy's being tortured by this purple energy. And then what I would do also is I would establish, instead of this color back here with the blues and stuff, I would make it more all of this gold. Like instead of right here, I would make the epicenter like right back here, like it's almost like directly behind him, and then make all this stuff kind of radiating in this direction. Like the epicenter's here and it's all coming out of boom like that. So then you have that gold. So you're establishing that gold, which is that gem or that giant gold rock that's behind him, but you're not giving it away yet, because it seems like it's a reveal. So then you go here and then it reveals the rock, and that's the gold energy. And then you get to see the purple still hitting him and coming out of his chest. And then you get to see that he's captive. He's being held captive by these columns. So then you have that, and then he's still like screaming, or he's still like, or he's saying something like, "You're never gonna get me, to tell you where the whatever is." So he's fighting back the power or whatever. And so then he comes in as, he's just like, "Oh yeah, well, that's only 5% of my energy or my power. You've yet to see, my devastation or the levels of my whatever." And so, so then here you have a direct correlation between his power that's coming off his hand and the power that's being hitting this guy right here. So then you see that he's probably using this gem to summon this power that's hurting this guy, and that this guy is the person that's able to do it. And then you reestablish that his hand, the hero, I think, his hand is here and that he's being held captive by this column. So then what I would do is then I would have these panels just conversational, maybe even talking heads, but interesting, of those two guys having a conversation to give them more of a connection. And then the next page, I think what I would do is in the next page, I would have this guy waking up and then maybe have an in between shot if you still want this flashback, and then start revealing your rabbit alien character. So that's what I would do. So I hope that helps the unknown artist here. And so thanks guys for letting me do that for you. And I hope that helped. So let me see if we have, oh, okay. So we have one more panel. So here's the connection. We still really don't know where the alien is in relationship to the guy that's being chained up. So this kind of gets into more of, I don't know, the confusion. Maybe the dialogue helps. I'm not sure. But that's that. And let's get into, do you want to wrap this up, Taylor?
Yeah, let's go to the next. We also just went up a little bit on the campaign.
Ooh.
We are past. Well, I don't know if we want to refresh because we might have went up since I looked at this time. But
Well, maybe we can depart from here and go over there and show you guys. I think, do we have it set up?
we do, yeah.
Okay. So you want to talk about this? I've done a lot of talking, so
Yeah.
let's let Taylor.
Okay, so what you guys are seeing on the screen right now is the Greg Capullo Art T. Bear variant cover. It was a pinup when it was originally penciled by Greg and inked by Art, but now it's this variant cover, as you can see right here. And you can get that variant cover in the Black, White, Indigo campaign. You can also get a tier where you get both covers and an ash can. But what's special about this cover is that you could own the original art from it.
Okay, here's the reveal. Da, da, da. Here's the original cover.
That you could own that right there, but in physical form. And
You can hold it in your grubby little hands.
You can. It's never been for sale before. Art has held on to this for a long time. I'll let him speak a little bit about that, but this is the way you can get it. So we have set a goal to hit 30K by this Friday.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yikes.
We're almost to 28 right now, though. So, when we hit 30K, we're gonna do a drawing, and every backer that is back from the beginning of the campaign till Friday will be entered in this drawing, and they could get this Greg Capullo piece right here.
You could own this piece of artwork that's probably worth, at least $1,500.
Yeah, so even if you back by just buying the base graphic novel, you could get this for free. Look at this. All you got to do is share the campaign with your friends, your comic book reading friends, your non-comic book reading friends, and we'll try to get the numbers up.
Okay, let's just clarify. Okay, if they bought this, Taylor, as a variant cover, right, which we do have a tier for, if they bought this, then they would be eligible to win this?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
You could have the best of both worlds. So please share. Our fan base is definitely what got us here, and it is what is going to carry us through. And word of mouth is very important for these campaigns. And we only have 3 days left of the campaign total, you guys. So sharing is very important right now because we want to get the word out to as many people as possible so they don't miss their chance to pick up their copy of the book.
Yeah, but the main thing is Friday. So by Friday's end is when the drawing eligibility will end. And the only way this is going to be possible is if we hit 30K by Friday's end.
Yeah.
We only have the rest of this day and Friday to make this. And what do you say, we're almost 28?
We're almost 28. And there will actually be 2 winners when we hit 30K.
Ooh, yes.
Because one person will get this, another person will get this. And this is the original splash page for the original series issue 2, as you can see right there. This is a very special piece of original artwork. It was actually cut from the remastered version because of a writing, but it's a really great display piece and it's a really good piece of artwork. If you are into collecting things, rare things, things that didn't make print, this was printed in the original series, but not in the remastered. So it kind of holds a place in black and white history.
Yeah, and I would love to get not only this page, but the cover into a true black and white fan's hands. I've held on to this stuff for 25 years. I've never made it available. I've never sold anything until now. So we also have an original art tier. So if you don't win one of these two pieces, then you still can buy a piece of black and white history and own it. And these are vintage. These weren't drawn yesterday. These are 25 years old. So this is authentic 90s artwork. And also, it has the dialogue right on the board. So that also dates it because I don't know if you guys know how comic books are done now. It's all there's digital files, and so lettering is not on the board anymore. So lettering is kind of a lost art. So some of this is pasted, but some of this is drawn right on the board, like these balloons. The Hold On Whitney.
You get
Some
what
of
you
this
see
you can
here.
see is actually it's right on the board. Um, yeah, so the swish, this is not a paste on logo. That's actually on the artwork. So yeah, it's pretty rare to have dialogue on a board anymore. So like Taylor said, this is pretty rare, and this will not be part of the remastered version. It got cut out. So the only way you're going to get this is in the original, and then you can actually own it in the drawing. So I don't know. I just feel like at this moment in time, I want you guys to have some of the black and white stuff. I want it to not just collect dust in my T-Bear vault, which I call it. I want to get this into people's hands so that you guys you can own it, that you can actually appreciate it, and possibly, I mean, even put it up on your wall. I have artwork up on my wall. I think it's very cool. So
These are both great display pieces, I think.
yeah,
Someone in the chat asked about the square binding. Yeah, I think that's a goal that we hit early. And if you don't know what square binding is, we have an example right here on the Chrono book.
okay, I know it's kind of dark. Let me see if I can turn it to where it hits the light. But you can kind of see this is thicker than an actual comic book. And it's not stapled, it's bound in and it's square. It's very cool. Like graphic novels to me are not graphic novels unless they have a square spine. And also what's cool is when you put on your bookshelf, you can see the book. Like it has the book name and it'll have Taylor and I's name here and Hack Shack Studios or Hack Shack Publishing here. And then yeah, it just makes for a really cool, and the cover is it's cardboard.
It makes the book nicer to put on display on like a shelf.
Yeah. And then also with graphic novels, you usually have a cool back that fits thematically with the front. So black and white will have the same type of layout as this does. Yeah, so what was that? That was one of our early second or third stretch goal.
Yeah, that was one of the. We could take a look at the stretch goals.
Let's see if, yeah, let's see. We haven't done this in a
Yeah,
while.
let's refresh the. I can't.
Okay,
I
so
think that might be current.
so we're at 27,778. Let's refresh this.
Someone mentioned that we need about.
Yeah.
It was like 2,222.
Oh my gosh.
It is to hit a.
Well,
30.
yesterday, thanks to you guys, we did almost $1,500 in one day. This thing is on fire right now, and I'd like to keep the fire going because I really, really want you guys to get that artwork. I want to get you guys qualified so we can have that that drawing, because that's going to be fun too, because we'll be able to do it live on YouTube. We'll be able to pull the names and reveal the winner. And
Yes, the drawing will be live.
yes.
Let's see.
But this is cool too. There's 511 backers, guys. That's amazing. That means 500 of you picked up a book, and that means a lot to me and Taylor. So we only have 3 days left. I know.
Well, let's show them some of the goals that we hit so far.
Ooh, I'm gonna do that. But Taylor just added this. We've been kind of tweaking the tagline. If you guys listened in yesterday, we were working on this. But the line between justice and vengeance is blurred when an ex-spy and a brewery heiress join forces to take down an extremist with a growing army of robots. Yes. Justice can only be black and white. So yeah, so here's the 30K giveaway. In the update, we have more details. So if you guys go to the site, click the update, and it will have more detail on the giveaway, the drawing. Okay, so here's what Taylor was talking about.
Yeah, so...
You want to read it?
Sure. Okay, so we hit our first stretch goal. I think that was like the first day. And... so you get on your physical copy of the book. Pamela is going to be signing them, and she is, of course, one of the original co-writers. Her and Art wrote the original series together, so she's going to be signing all of those books. We also got the bookmark, which is a double-sided bookmark for everybody.
Let me show the artwork.
Yeah, we got a graphic of it. It's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, it's both sides. So one side's black, the other side's white. And then we have an abbreviated
Justice can only be
black and white remastered. Okay, so we got that.
So then we get so you get that's the bookmark. We also have we upgraded the book to the square bound. We showed you what that is.
That was the 20K, yeah.
Yeah, and we got the stick it to the bot sticker.
Oh,
which is awesome.
I love that.
I'm actually looking for sources right now to produce a. I want to make sure this is a really we want to make sure it's a really high quality sticker. I was looking at Sticker Mule, but I don't know if any of you guys have had experience with them before. So if any of you guys run a sticker business or something,
yeah,
hit us up.
And the reason we like the saying, because we've been kind of coy with giving you too much information about the story, but Reed was in British Secret Service. He was in, and there's MI6, which is James Bond and that. But there's also divisions of the MI. So this is MI10, this is division, and it's kind of made up. We fudged it a little bit, but this is also a far-flung, well, not so distant future, I guess is a better way to say it. So one of the things is he belongs to a robotics division. MI10 is a robotics division. So in the future, the way we're thinking is that somebody has to police these bots worldwide. And so Reed is basically, he's espionage, he's all those things, but also he's a robot assassin. So if there's a robot running amok or whatever, he doesn't just like do I guess terminate humans, but if there's a robot running amok in this reality, he can terminate those. And also sometimes these robots are more challenging than humans, so you have to be an exceptional badass to fight a robot.
Yes, he's a robot.
So when we say stick it to the bots, that's kind of like what we're playing on, is like that they're robot fighters.
And the suits are kind of designed to combat robots and tech stuff.
And that's what they do in the story too. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. Sheldon wants to know, is the $50 one with the Ashcan autographed as well? Yes, the physical books are autographed.
The $50 tier, that's
50.
That's the Ashcan, and yeah. The Ashcan comes signed, and the book itself will come signed. And it will become signed by all three of us.
And Sticky Wicket said, so would Reed have an English accent?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he does.
He's a Brit. He's a Brit, man. Yeah, so just think of him as kind of like he's James Bond, but he's more like he's James Bond making a transition into more of a traditional kind of vigilante or comic book type vigilante hero.
What kind of accent are we talking about here, Art? Chimney sweep or tweed?
God, you know what? He's educated, so I always do like Cockney, because that's all I can do.
That's not how we talk.
But yeah, that's not. Yeah, it's say no more. Yes, yeah, Whitney.
That would be hilarious.
We need some backup here, Gray. Bring the bullet round.
I will.
I've got a hole in me pocket.
Swear on me, ma'am.
Me mum.
Sorry to offend anybody from the UK.
That's the best we can do. I know we butchered the language.
So we got the
Oh,
sticker.
gosh.
We got the accent.
Okay, you guys, if it's this silly and it's Thursday, you guys wait. Tune in Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be lunacy.
Yeah, we're gonna be on a lot Sunday.
Yeah, but we're gonna be here because we want to be, because this is a lot of fun as well.
Stay with us.
It's gonna be, I don't know, it's probably gonna be more torturous for them than it will be for us. So if you want to see two people kind of lose it on the
Spending
air,
almost all day live.
yeah.
Okay, the last
Focus.
thing we unlocked, right? So we got the mini print. That was our most
Wait.
recent.
Okay, so we went from, okay, so 22, yeah. So we got the stick it to the bot sticker. Yeah, so 25K.
Yeah. So we got the stick it to the bot sticker. There's the mini print.
Hey, wait, hold on. Okay, Pamela, my wife, who's also the editor of this book and co-writer of the original series. Let's hear your British accent. So we were doing like we were doing Reed like because they were. I think it was a revelation for these guys. They were like, Reed's British, so we were like, I say no more. And then they're like, what? He's like a chimney sweep. You know, I think that was a Mary Poppins reference. So I was like, that's all I can do. So okay, do your best, Reed Blackett.
I cannot do accents unless it's a southern accent.
Okay, do him as a southern.
Oh my goodness.
Hey y'all.
I can do a woman's southern accent.
Okay. So Whitney's song is not half Chinese and half American. She's what? Okay, she's from the South.
She's a southern belle.
Yeah. Okay.
Now.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
she is.
All right. So I can do. Oh, I just need a big, strong man to take care of me. I am so little.
Do you say okay? I'm gonna give you a line. It's like I need a man in black. What I could really use right now is a man in black. His name is
You did a better job.
Oh no, gosh.
We're sounding a little John Davies-ish.
Oh gosh. Okay, so wait. That's cray. That is so cray. Wait. Gosh, I just had a line. I forgot it now. Oh shoot. Oh my gosh. I just brain farted live. Gosh. I just need a man.
Can you send me a picture of your tractor?
A man in black.
It's a John Deere.
It's a John Deere.
What did I
tractor.
do to deserve this art? Says Whiskey.
Just know, Whiskey, it's going to get a lot better / worse. So, wasn't that amazing? See, my wife is such a giving, funny person. So, oh gosh, I had a joke.
I have a friend, Colette, coming over, and she can do a Jamaican accent.
I'm gonna go through all that.
So Whitney's song is now Jamaican. Okay, so
But for
back on
those of
track.
you that didn't know, yeah, Reed is British and Whitney is she was born in China, but her mom was not from China. She was a foreigner.
She's a foreigner. She's American.
She's mixed
She's
race.
American. Go American.
Oh yeah, but this is the mini print that you guys get. But our stretch goal after the mini print is what we're striving to
wait.
reach.
Okay, so we gotta. Okay, look at this design. Look at Taylor did this with her own little hands, with her own 2 hands. She this whole black border with the red, and then the logo brought in with the black and white logo remastered, and then with the tagline. This is pretty cool, guys.
Yeah, but you guys want that Art Bear cover artwork.
And the robot that they just destroyed, because robots in this story are not good.
You gotta stick it to the bots.
You gotta stick it to them. Stick it to them. Okay, so where are we now?
Okay, so the reason that we're
Ooh,
pushing
drum roll.
so hard for this Friday goal is because at 30K, our stretch goal is to extend the book. And we're going to extend it by, I forget how many pages we agreed upon.
I think we have at least 6, but I started, we should spend some time. Maybe we'll do this later on the live goof off thread that we're going to do at Hack Shack, but maybe we should figure out a page count, because I think at this point we have 6, but you know where I was thinking we're going to probably have a whole section is the suit transition.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So the robotic, symbiotic black and white suits. So there's going to be a whole scene that we're adding with that. And if we get to that 30K, we can we could definitely bring that into the story and give you guys a really cool explanation of not only what they are, but how they work, the origins of them, and all that other good stuff. Where it is now, it's just kind of a brief, maybe 3-panel explanation of it. So we'll be able to get more into that, and like I said, how it all came about. And the reason the 30K is such a monumental thing for us is, well, and is because of those extra pages, because we just want to make this book the best we can for you guys, and to spend time to draw the extra pages, write the extra pages, craft the extra pages. It's just going to take more time, and to do that, like, time is money kind of thing for freelancers like us. And so to spend that time, we kind of have to make a little bit of extra cheddar, like Doug TeNapel says.
The reality is we still have to support ourselves.
Yeah, and so that's why at 30K we can spend that time, and then to incentivize and to get us to that, to help get us to that 30K, is why we brought in the the giveaway, the drawing aspects of it, so we could actually set a date before the actual deadline date to see if we can get to that 30K.
So that is really what we're pushing for right now.
Yeah.
We got a couple stretch goals after that, but that is like the major, I think that would be like our landmark stretch goal.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for by this Friday. But just keep in mind, I mean, we could definitely overfund this. Some people have been telling us that they're thinking that this is going to get into the 40s, the 40K. So we still have 3 days, and these things usually just light up in the last couple days of the campaign. So my gosh, you guys, we can do some great things here. And just to give you maybe something more to shoot for, let's get into the calendar, the 32K.
Oh yeah, 32K, we're gonna have a calendar. People are recommending me sticker makers right now. Let me see, do we have a graphic of the calendar? There
Yeah.
it is, yeah. It's a 2019 calendar, of course. After that, we have
Let's see what it is at though. So that's
The
32, yeah, and then, well, before the patch,
Oh, that's
there's
right.
there's actually another original art giveaway, and this giveaway is a piece of artwork that I'm going to be drawing live in a couple, well, maybe an hour, so we can have lunch. Oh my gosh, it's 2:30.
Oh my
already.
gosh, the time just flew by.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. So I think we should try to wrap this up so we can get something to eat. Maybe that's why we're being silly. But yeah, I'm going to be drawing that later today. And then we have the 37, like Taylor said, which is an embroidered patch. That thing's bad. Shut
Yeah.
your mouth. Yeah, that thing's
Put it
awesome.
next to your Lone Star Squadron patch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool. And then we have various other...
I know we have a trading card.
Yeah, I think the next
Yes.
one is the trading card, which will go with the rest of the guys, like Cyber Frog and Lone Star and Red Rooster, and I think even Bigfoot Bill has one. So I think most of the guys does Graveyard Shift. I think Graveyard Shift has one as well. So it'll be kind of a nice trading card set that you guys will have. And then we're going to have a new mini poster with brand new artwork on it at 55K. So if you guys haven't checked this out, please do. This is definitely a labor of love. This is a 25-year dream that's actually coming true before our very eyes. This is amazing. And I wanted to thank everybody for the shout outs, the support, and the backers with your generosity coming in. We are going to make the best book possible for you guys. This book is going to be amazing. We might be even, we'll preview some. We got some pages today in from our colors. Maybe we'll preview some of those later on as well. So thanks, guys. Do you want to wrap this
Refresh
up?
one more time, Aaron.
Okay, let's do this. All right, bum, 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 778. Remember that number.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we are less than 200 away from 28K.
Thank you guys so
Oh,
much. You
Thank
guys are
you
the
guys.
best.
This is amazing. This is so amazing. Thank you so much. You want to talk us out? Get us out of here, Taylor?
Yes, thanks you guys. Please like this video to help boost our views. And remember, we are not a monetized channel at this time. We do have a donate section in the description. If you want your artwork reviewed by Art, there is a Mediafire link in there, and that's to our Dropbox. Please support Black and White, which will also be linked there. We got 3 more days, you guys, and 1 more day to hit that 30K goal and get that drawing for you guys. So please keep spreading the word. Backing is great, but spreading the word is also great. And make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on this channel.
This Friday, let's get this thing to 30K. Thanks, guys.